Chapter 7.
Paolo Ricci, the tailor of Zonderwater, and Edoardo Villa, prisoner of war, to celebrated sculptor. Paolo Ricci, the tailor of Zonderwater. Paolo Ricci was born in 1920 in Savignano, Italy. At 20, he joined the 26th Regiment Artillery of Rimini and, after just 10 days of training, was sent to North Africa. His regiment had some success in Tunisia before being transferred to Tobruk, Libya, where they faced the Australians. In early 1941, after heavy fighting at Sollum and Bardia, the Italians were defeated and Paolo was captured when Tobruk fell to British forces. He became one of about 25,000 prisoners taken that day. Reflecting later, he said, "You're not prepared for war. We chased them. They chased us. Up and down. You know how the war is." Paolo endured grim months in prison camps in Alexandria and Suez, where food was scarce and conditions unbearable. After 5 months, he was shipped to Durban, South Africa, and then transported by train to Zonderwater camp near Cullinan. The prisoners arrived with almost nothing and faced disorganization, shortages, and poor food. Zonderwater soon filled with tens of thousands of prisoners of war, as Prime Minister Jan Smuts accepted more Italian prisoners. Despite the chaos, the men created their own entertainment, building theaters and staging performances to lift morale. Paolo, a trained tailor, joined the theater group to make costumes. Given a sewing tent, machine and materials, Paolo became one of the fortunate few, with a trade that brought purpose. His friend, a carpenter, even built him a bed, sparing him from sleeping on the ground. Slowly, the camp grew into what Paolo called a little city, alive with creativity and community. When Colonel H.F. Prinsloo took command in 1943, conditions improved dramatically. Paolo admired him, calling him the prisoner of war redeemer. Life became more organized, and Paolo continued his tailoring for the camp's theaters until he eventually volunteered to work outside the camp. Together with 2 friends, Lotti and Gambuti, Paolo went to work for a Dutch family near Pretoria. There they met an Italian woman who owned a tailor shop. After the war, she invited them to stay and work for her. Unsure of what awaited them in war-torn Italy, the men decided to remain in South Africa. Italy's devastation after the war confirmed their decision. Paolo and Lotti worked for the dressmaker for 18 months before starting their own workshop with help from a Jewish benefactor. They eventually opened Lotti and Ricci Italian Tailors in Pretoria, where their skill and hard work brought success. As Paolo's business flourished, so did his personal life. He met a young woman named Fosca, and within 18 months, they were married. One of their wedding gifts was a trip to Italy, a journey that took 26 days by ship. Paolo and Fosca remained married for 60 years. Though happy in South Africa, Paolo's heart never left Italy. In an interview years later, he recalled watching the last Italian prisoners of war depart Zonderwater. "I was already a civilian," he said. "When that train started to swoosh, I went on my knees and I cried. I think that cement is still wet today." Edoardo Villa, prisoner of war, to celebrated sculptor. Beginnings in Italy. Born in Bergamo, Italy, Edoardo Villa showed early artistic talent and studied at the Andrea Fontini Art School. In 1937, he joined the Italian army, later serving as a captain in North Africa. Injured and captured by British forces before the Battle of Sidi Barrani, his life took an unexpected turn. Life and art at Zonderwater, 1941 to 1945. As a prisoner of war in South Africa's Zonderwater camp, Villa turned to art for solace. He sculpted, taught fellow prisoners, and created a bronze bust of Colonel H.F. Prinsloo, still displayed in Johannesburg today. Captivity awakened his identity as a sculptor and deepened his understanding of humanity and resilience. Choosing South Africa. After the war, Villa chose to remain in South Africa, drawn to its open space for creativity. In Johannesburg, he began as a figurative sculptor before developing an abstract style that fused European discipline with African energy. Style, influence, and teaching. By the 1950s, Villa's bold steel and bronze forms reflected both Cubist influences and African vitality. At the Poly Art Center, he mentored diverse artists and co-founded Amadlozi, Zulu for ancestors, in 1963, celebrating African sculptural traditions in modern art. Recognition and legacy. Villa's monumental works, like Reclining Figure in Pieter Roos Park, define Johannesburg's public art. A 5-time Venice Biennale representative, he earned international acclaim. His 1995 gift to the University of Pretoria founded the Edoardo Villa Museum, South Africa's first single-artist museum. He worked in Johannesburg until his death in 2011. Zonderwater's enduring influence. Zonderwater transformed Villa's suffering into creativity. From prisoner to master sculptor, his life embodied art's power to transcend hardship and connect humanity across borders.